Okay, so it's a brand new season. I'm on the first overlap of this season. We're here in the O2 warehouse in Manchester. It's not Old Trafford and it's not Gary Neville's hotel, so I feel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, let's have a little look around. Let's chat to as many people as we can and get their season predictions. Talent here. This is where the real opinion comes from. This guy.
Any other questions from all of us? Why did you finish third? We didn't vote. Yeah, I was there.
Baz and McKola, where are Liverpool finishing and where are United finishing?
You're not finishing behind us. And you finish
the table upside down. Jamie, where are Liverpool finishing this season? Number one.
Top of the tree.
And Everton? Relegated?
No. Everton will finish 14th.
14?
Take that. They'll take it.
Robbie, the Don, where are Liverpool finishing this season?
6th.
Shut up, you.
You know what? I still got Edge City, man. Sorry. Sorry, man.
Robbie.
Sorry. You know what? I just Edge City. Just because. You know what? It's just because Mane's gone.
Right.
And he's such a big player. I think if Mane was still.
They lost Sterling. He's a big
Yeah, yeah, true. I don't know. City, innit?
Yeah, an opportunity here, Robbie. Where are you finishing?
We're finishing in the top 4.
I think so.
We're going to be the surprise package.
I think you're going to finish.
Yeah, we're going to be the surprise package.
What a turnabout there.
Come with you.
Baz, where are the Reds finishing? Can you bring yourself to say it?
Second?
So, right. Second.
Comfortably second.
Where are you finishing?
Between 11th and 14th.
Carragher is 14th.
I believe so, yeah. Take it now. I've been surprised.
I just want us to be a bit happier this season because I get so bored of hearing the misery from the walls.
Yeah, well, it's easy, when you win every game, it's easy to just take it for granted. We'll see. We'll see, mate. We'll see.
Flav. Flav looking good. Oh, look at edgy. Look at that. Oh, that sweaty, edgy man.
Oh, so what?
Yeah, it is warm. Where are Liverpool finishing?
I think Liverpool want to win the league.
Yes, Flav! Yes, Flav!
No, you're welcome.
Yes, Flav!
You're gonna. It's. I prefer City because there's always an excuse. But yeah, I think Jurgen Klopp, man, he's
Where's Spurs finishing?
Third. Third. As long as we're above Arsenal, we can finish 9th. I didn't give a shit. But
Where are Arsenal finishing?
I hate to say it, but this.
I think you're finishing third and they're finishing fourth.
Do you think?
Chelsea are going to implode. Is that fine if Chelsea implode?
No, it's absolutely fine. Fuck Chelsea. Yeah, fuck Chelsea. There's a lot going wrong at Chelsea, and I'm here for it. You know what I mean? So out of all the teams that fail, let's all hope it's Chelsea. No one likes it.
Nobody likes Chelsea.
Yeah, no one.
There you go, some good fun stuff there at the overlap. Yeah, I'm over on that show. It was a good laugh as always. One thing that I haven't put in here, but Gary Neville's prediction was that Man City could finish 10 points ahead of Liverpool at the end of the season, which I scoffed at and highlighted the fact that could well be the next viral clip in the next year. If and when Liverpool do lift the title, it will be a reminder to him that he said that. Fingers crossed, hey, fingers crossed. But I want to talk about that because that's obviously the really interesting point. Just in terms of what else I think will happen in the league. I'll try and come to it at the end of the video if we've got time, but ultimately the big conversation and what most Liverpool fans and City fans will care about is who's going to win the league and can Liverpool go one better than last season and get above Man City. Probably. I mean, definitely, they can. They absolutely can. Will they? And I guess the question is, why won't City win the league? Now, I could spin narratives galore out of this one. I really could. But how many of them are based in fact and how many are just based in sort of my, absolute adoration for science fiction and all things creative? I'm not really sure. So I'll try and base this in a little bit more facts and stats than maybe I would normally. I think the key thing is on the squad. So what I'm seeing is that Man City have definitely improved their squad. That's what everyone seems to be saying. That was largely the point being made by Gary Neville, and I've seen this made by loads of pundits as well. Because Erling Haaland is such a big name. He's such a good player. He's such a big draw. And his goal return has been absolutely astonishing. Borussia Dortmund, in fact, I made a point of writing it down. First season, 1920, 39 games, 43 goals. Ridiculous. 41 games, 41 goals in the following season. And then last season, 30 games, 29 goals. And obviously, he had a couple of injury issues last year, which hampered his season and Dortmund's as well. But that's you're not getting a better goal return than that. So if you're looking for as close to a guarantee of goals as possible, then I understand. Bringing Erling Haaland into these, for me to say, does feel like, yeah, it logically follows. One of the points made on the overlap, of course, by Neville is that he said the same with Lukaku, but I think it's different. I think Lukaku, who'd already not quite worked in his last spell in the Premier League, older, gone to Italy and then come back, the path from Serie A to Premier League feels a lot harder of a transition to make if you've not got absolutely electric pace, which someone like for example, Mo Salah has got. We see a lot of guys who've gone there, even going back to the 80s and 90s, like Ian Rush was never the same man coming back. How many ageing forwards have come from Serie A and gone and had their last hurrah in the Premier League, but never kind of scaled the heights? Anyway, it doesn't matter, it's by the by. The point is, it makes sense. Erling Haaland's come in, and you've got Julian Alvarez as well, absolutely killing it at River Plate. I've got his goal return if you're interested. Back to 1920, 32 games and 9 goals and 6 assists, which is obviously kind of his breakout season. 2021, 46 games, 24 goals, 14 assists. And then last season, because the way they do things in South America, it's like 2 seasons. I've never fully understood it. I did a couple of seasons on Champman back in the day. But last season, 21, 22, 23 games, 17 goals, 6 assists. So good. Very good player, both 22 years old, both with the best years ahead of them, but already absolutely smashing it. So that makes perfect sense. Now, the way I sort of look at it is, you've got to look at last season's teams when you're looking at Man City and you're looking at Liverpool. And this is a very base analysis, but I think it's a decent starting place for conversation, is what have those teams lost? So there was there's a point between those two teams. There was a pubes width between the two teams when it came to the Premier League title ultimately. What have they lost? So, Man City have lost Gabriel Jesus, they've lost Raheem Sterling, they've lost Fernandinho, and they've lost Zinchenko, and they've lost Stefan as well, which is good because, he was absolutely stellar in the FA Cup against Liverpool. It would have been nice if he could have carried on like that. Anyway, what does that mean? So in terms of goals, so let's just do it in terms of goals. So Man City have basically lost in all comps between Jesus and Sterling. They've lost 30 goals. So it was 17 for Sterling, it was 13 for Gabriel Jesus last year. Again, all comps. Logically, of course, that means that Haaland and Alvarez should be able to more than capably pick up that slack. But one thing I think is quite interesting, as a slight aside on this, why I think City have gone down this route, is the last 2 seasons, it's been midfielders who've topped the goal-scoring chart. Now, okay, because they haven't really had recognised centre-forwards, of course, since Aguero's moved on. Gundogan was the top goal scorer the season before, and I wonder whether they've looked at that and gone, there's maybe a little bit of a law of diminishing returns here. And I would argue in the City camp, and they won't be publicising this, of course, but they've looked and gone, okay, well, we've done a really good job, we played some great football, but looking at last season, I think there would have been more panic in the Man City camp than there would have been in the Liverpool camp in preparing the squads for this season. Why? Because Liverpool, the last 2 titles Man City have won have been titles affected by that horrendous season that Liverpool had when they were decimated by injuries. So City canter to the league the season after Liverpool win the league, because obviously Virgil van Dijk, Matip, Joe Gomez, and Liverpool playing a bunch of centre midfielders in defence who all themselves then get injured, etc, etc, etc. Liverpool then are completely written out of the title race, and City don't have to worry about being the best. They don't have to get 95 plus points to win the league that season, so they don't. And they win the league, and it's quite comfortable. The season that follows, last season, Liverpool have a slower start to the season. They drop more points from winning positions, from comfortable positions, from positions that would not normally drop points in. Why? Well, I would make the strong cases, of course. Virgil van Dijk's getting back up to speed. Joel Matip's getting back up to speed. Liverpool are integrating Ibrahima Konate into that as well. They're trying to reboot their defence. When they get up to speed, the back end of the season, Liverpool's defence is almost impeccable. And that's when Liverpool start to put down Liverpool numbers again, and we go foot to the floor, and we're chasing City, and they just about managed to get over the line. So I think what City have done has gone, okay, well, we need to make a drastic change here. And that's what they've done. They refreshed the attack. Obviously, Fernandinho moves on. There's an X factor there that they're losing in terms of what he brings to the dressing room, if not necessarily. Obviously, his powers on the pitch have certainly waned. This is where I think it's closer than maybe people are giving it credit for, because much like Liverpool had to reboot the defence last season, City have to reboot their attack this season. And this is where there's a big opportunity for Liverpool to steal a march. And not to say that City's defence is impregnable either, because they're having a few issues in that regard. Do they have enough cover at fullback? Which is hilarious that the answer to that at the moment is no, given they have bought nothing but £50 million fullbacks for the last decade. Cancelo's obviously stellar, but he's a right-footer playing left-back. When you come up against the top-class attacking talents down that right-hand side, it means he's going to have a few more issues. We saw that with Mohamed Salah in the Community Shield. Kyle Walker, absolutely sensational on the other side. Anyway, what I think is going to be interesting to find, and there's every reason to suggest the City will just pick up and go again, because honestly, it's the path to madness trying to work out a reason why they won't, and trying to believe that, because look, we've spent the last 4 seasons, you need to win every game of football in the Premier League because of the levels of Manchester City, if you're a Liverpool fan. But of course, because of the levels of Liverpool, if you're a Manchester City fan, it's absolutely maddening, and it's enough to drive you insane. And there's no reason why they can't expect them to got a boss manager. They've bought brilliant players. They've got loads of pedigree at this point now in the Premier League. They should just go on and win the league again. But I don't think they will. And for the reasons that I've sort of listed there, the first 2 months of the season is going to be absolutely pivotal, because once again, Pep's time at Man City is possibly coming to a close. He still hasn't won the European Cup, and I think he is gearing his season to being strong in the back end. And the reason you need to be strong in the back end of the season is because I think he wants to win the Champions League more than anything. And I think everyone knows that at this point. He wants to win that, and he wants to make sure there's legs left in his team, because there hasn't been in recent years. I think Liverpool's modus operandi this season is to make sure that they are in a strong position in the league by the time they get to Christmas. We've seen it time and time again. More often than not, with the exception of us, the team at the top of Christmas goes on to win the league. Obviously, that's skewed somewhat by the fact that it's a condensed season beforehand, so it won't quite match up the same way it didn't match up in the post-COVID season. Because, yeah, the fixture list is a bit wild, and it's harder to predict at that point. But what I mean is, Liverpool want to replicate their title-winning season. And what that is you want to make City chase you. Get a lead. And do what you do. Start strong. Get as many points on the table as possible. And hope that City stutter early doors. Because City do stutter early doors. They do. They undercook themselves at the start of the season to try and give themselves more to go on by the back end of the season, and that can be their undoing. But Liverpool last season weren't in a position to capitalise on it. This season, I think they are. And obviously, I've talked about Man City and the signings or whatever. Liverpool have lost more goals from their team from last season than Man City have. They lost 39. They've lost Mané. They've lost Taki Minamino. Got 10. Lost Divock Origi. Got 6. Again, all comps. However, in terms of the straight replacements, people are looking at Nunes and people are looking at Carvalho, but I don't think people are looking enough at Luis Diaz as well, who effectively is a summer signing, brought in half a season early, who's up and running, is better integrated in the side, got 20-something appearances for Liverpool, 6 goals, I think. There's certainly more to come from him. So I think Liverpool have already started to reboot their attack, is what I'm kind of driving at. It's not a cold replacement. They're losing Raheem Sterling, who is guaranteed 15 to 20 goals every season, and they're trying to replace him in a summer. and reboot his replacement in one go. Liverpool have already bought Mane's replacement. He's been at the club for half a season. He knows how the team plays. He's already scored goals for Liverpool. It's more of a guarantee that Diaz will be able to replace some, if not all, of Mane's goals than it is to say Julian Alvarez is likely to replace some or all of Raheem Sterling's goals, because he literally hasn't played a proper competitive game or in 90 minutes of a competitive game for Manchester City. That is my hope. So I think Liverpool are in a stronger position now. And yeah, the idea will be, I think, is to hopefully City's lack of coherence up front, which we saw in the Community Shield, will cost them. It's not going to cost them dramatically. It might, but if it costs them in the opening day against West Ham, hopefully Liverpool will have 3 points on the board already, and there's a chance you've already started your lead. I think it's been proven now that City are basically unbeatable when you're chasing them, but I think they are far more fragile when they are the team doing the chasing, and that's what Liverpool's goal will be this season. That's why I think Liverpool will win the Premier League this season. There's my reasoning behind it. In terms of the others, I think Spurs are going to finish third. I think Arsenal will finish fourth. I think the relegated teams, I really hope Nottingham Forest stay up, because I like the idea of Forest. I like them and Villa. I like the fact that there's teams with European Cups in the Premier League. Because the teams that I don't like in the Premier League that have none, and I love the fact that their fans get to wind those clubs up. I think that's amazing. I think Everton are going down this season. I think the wave of optimism around Frank Lampard was great and it contributed, but I think the fact that the other teams around them were even worse, I think, was another major contributing factor to them staying up. I'm really worried for them. And I think having had that wave of optimism, at least they might be able to enjoy themselves a little bit more this time around. But if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's out for a long stretch, which is possible, there's literally no goals in that team. The defence will be slightly better organised, but is Frank Lampard really a defensive organising kind of manager? He's going to have to be, otherwise they are in massive trouble. I think Leeds will probably get dragged in as well. And then between Fulham and Bournemouth, the teams to go down. As I say, I'm just more on the story. I want Forest to stay up, so I'm kind of writing that off, even though they're effectively like an entirely new squad. But I think they've bought well in terms of Dean Henderson. I think Nico Williams will be really good for them. And Taiwan Awoniyi is a good centre forward, although unproven in the Premier League, but he could well be a bit of a goal machine. So yeah, then European places, probably like some Chelsea United, which if Chelsea totally implode, they'll finish below United. If they don't, they'll finish above United. And then there's a fight for the 7th. West Ham should probably just be competent and do the job again. But, Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Palace, I guess, will all have Leicester will all have eyes. I don't think Brendan Rodgers finishes the season as Leicester manager. That's another slight prediction. And as an outside shout, he finishes the season, I think, as Newcastle manager. Have a little bit of that. Yeah, there you go. Top goal scorer will be Mohamed Salah. Comfortably, I think. I think Liverpool win the league. I think Mo Salah will be top goal scorer, and I actually think he will be top assister in the league as well. There we go. Right. What do you do? What do you think? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let me know in the comments section underneath. Subscribe to the channel. Loads more content coming this season as well. And yeah, thank you so much to the guys who got involved on the overlap. Check out that over, of course. Gary Neville's overlap. Just search for the overlap on YouTube and get involved with that, and just say, I thought Paul Maych, the Liverpool fan, was excellent, because I like doing that, and they give me good money to do it. So go in the comments, spam the overlap comments with how much you love me. That'll be much appreciated. And if you want more Liverpool content, head over either to the Red Men YouTube channel or come and join us on Red Men Plus. It's our Liverpool streaming service. There's extra videos, podcasts, shows, series, interviews. There's some amazing stuff we've got lined up in the next couple of weeks, which I'm going to thrilled to reveal to you in due course. But yeah, if you want a Liverpool streaming service in your life, do consider trying redmenplus.com. I think it's amazing, and I think you will too. Anyway, have an amazing time in the build-up to the weekend. Enjoy the first weekend of the season. Hope to see you back here when I've got these catastrophically wrong in 9 months and the comments are filled again. Other than that, all the best. Take it easy. Ta-da.